Welcome to the 10th episode of our video tutorial series, where we continue to explore the capabilities of the Crossroad Generator tool for Unreal Engine 5. In the previous episode, we explored the customization features of version 1.2, focusing on how to modify road elements like curbs, sidewalks, and guardrails using new customization modules. You learned to set up these modules, adjust settings, and replace default meshes with your custom assets to create unique road systems tailored to your project. In this episode, we will focus on optimizing the road systems created with the Crossroad Generator by converting them into static meshes or Nanite meshes. The latest update introduces a new utility widget tool called the Road Baker. We'll demonstrate how to use this tool to bake spline mesh roads into static meshes, further optimize them with LODs, or convert them directly into Nanite meshes, enhancing your project's performance. Let's start with a fresh project. Here, we have a simple road where we've enabled a couple of default road modules for demonstration. To activate the Road Baker utility widget tool, navigate to the Blueprint folder within the Mesh folder. Right-click on the Road Baker widget blueprint and select Run Editor Utility Widget. In the General menu, you'll see several options available. The first button is Bake to Static Mesh. Select the spline road you want to bake and click the button to start the process. Wait until the mesh is baked, and you will receive a message indicating that baking was successful. Once you click OK, you can enable preview mode to view the mesh you've just baked. The baked mesh will be loaded into the editor as a temporary mesh. If you need to make further adjustments to the spline road after baking, you can still do so. Click on the spline road and adjust the spline points as needed. To speed up the process, you can enable performance mode temporarily. Notice that when you add or modify the road, the pre-baked road remains unchanged in its position. To update the baked mesh, go back to the Road Baker utility widget and select Rebake. You will be prompted with a message indicating that you are still in performance mode and need to turn it off before baking. Switch off performance mode and rebake the road. Once the rebaking is successful, the road will automatically update. Save the baked road to your desired folder. For example, save it to the Content folder and name it Baked Road. Note that on the baked road, power line cables and street lights might be missing. Cable components and light components are not supported by this utility widget due to current editor limitations. If your project packaging requires power lines with cables, we recommend placing power lines separately from the road as a blueprint and packaging the project with it to retain the cable component settings. After baking, proceed to the last step in the utility widget, replacing the current road generator blueprint with the baked static mesh. Clicking the Replace button will prompt you to confirm that the blueprint will be deleted from the scene and replaced by the baked mesh. If you prefer, you can skip this step and simply hide the blueprint in the editor. After the replacement, the blueprint will be deleted, and the mesh will take its place. Next, let's create another road and explore how to bake it into a Nanite mesh. For demonstration, we will create a multi-lane road with some curbs, sidewalks, and a road median. You can also enable end meshes on the spline if needed. Once you're satisfied with the layout, proceed to the widget to bake the Nanite mesh. In the Road Baker utility widget, navigate to the Bake settings, scroll down to the Nanite settings, and enable it. You'll find additional options in the Nanite settings, such as the fallback triangle percentage, which controls the overall quality and resolution of the Nanite mesh. We recommend checking out the Unreal Engine Nanite Mesh documentation to familiarize yourself with all the settings available. Now, let's bake the Nanite mesh by clicking Bake to Static Mesh again. After successful baking, save the Nanite mesh into the Content folder. Switch to the Visualize Nanite Mesh view mode to see that the mesh has been successfully baked into the Nanite format. Click on the Replace button to delete the blueprint from the editor and replace it with the baked Nanite mesh. Switch the view mode again to ensure the mesh has been replaced. Now, let's turn on the collision view mode to compare these two baked meshes. As you can see, the simple static mesh has more complex collisions than the Nanite mesh. We can further optimize the baked static mesh by assigning LODs to it. In the mesh settings, locate the LOD settings. By default, the mesh has only one LOD, with a triangle count of around 800,000. Let's add 3 more LODs to optimize this mesh. After adding the LODs, hit Apply Changes and save the mesh. This will automatically generate 3 meshes with different levels of detail or poly count, which will be loaded and unloaded automatically based on the distance from the camera or actor. LOD number 2 now has just 200,000 triangles, which is significantly less than before. Switch the view mode to wireframe to see the triangles. As you move the camera closer or further away, you can see the mesh automatically switching between different LODs. Another aspect we can optimize is the light map density for the baked mesh. Switch the view mode to light map density to check how dense the light map is on the mesh. Blue color indicates that the light map density is too low. Go back to the mesh settings and adjust the resolution of the light map. The blue color turns to green, indicating the light map is much denser. Light maps are essential for optimizing and managing the lighting and shadows quality in your scene, as they store lighting information for static meshes in your level. Now, let's focus on texture streaming and optimization. To view some statistics, turn on the streaming performance of the textures by typing the command stat streaming in the console. Our streaming pool size is set to 3000 megabytes, and with the current settings, 2400 megabytes is drawn from the pool, which is approximately 82% of the capacity. Let's optimize the textures to decrease streaming requirements and improve performance. You can do this by selecting all textures and setting LODs for them. You can add LODs for all textures in a batch. Select all textures in the texture folder, right-click, and in the submenu of Asset Actions, select Edit Selection in Property Matrix. Locate the LOD bias parameter and set it from 0 to 2. Now, when we look back at the screen statistics, we can see that the texture streaming pool dropped from 82% to 21%. If we examine the assets, we notice very minor changes, but the performance has increased significantly. Another effective way to optimize draw culls in your project is by setting the cull distance for your spline roads. As discussed in previous tutorial episodes, you can set the culling distance for each module in the road generator. This option is available for baked static meshes but only within the blueprint settings. In this case, you can set up culling distance volumes to help optimize your draw culls. You can easily add a cull distance volume to your editor and set it separately for each road element in your project. However, the drawback of this approach is that when the road is baked into a static mesh, it is treated as a single static mesh. Therefore, you have to set the culling distance for the entire road. This means the whole road element can suddenly appear in front of your actor once the cull distance reaches the set value. In some cases, this can be useful, but it all depends on your project requirements. Thank you for watching this 10th episode of our video tutorial series. To delve deeper into the capabilities of the Crossroad Generator, we encourage you to explore all the tutorials available on our YouTube channel. If you're seeking to elevate your environment and create stunning scenes, the Crossroad Generator for Unreal Engine is an indispensable tool. You can find it on the Unreal Marketplace, and the link is available in the video description. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to render your tale with us.